York City Marathon 2024. Who would have thought? I think that's probably the title of my video for this week's edition, because boy, did we get a treat in terms of how the result unfolded. But before we get into that, let's go into some of the subplots, because this was definitely a surprise. On the men's side, we had the Paris Olympic champion, we had the defending champion. This is the same person, by the way, if you don't realize. Tola. We had Geoffrey Kamworor, who's a previous winner in New York. Evans Chebet, who needs no introduction, a former Boston Marathon champion. And on the women's side, we had less competition, but definitely some strong performance. Hellen Obiri, as well as Sheila Chepkirui. Now, the first 20 to 30 Ks gave us no hint of who would come out on top. But the favorites were in hot contestation, because we had Hellen Obiri leading from the front with every stride. It seemed like she was getting stronger and stronger. When you compare the pace that they were running at that point in the race versus the pace they were running at that point in last year's race where she won, they were slightly slower. So you had the sense that Hellen Obiri was teeing up something special. On the men's side, it followed a similar trajectory. However, it twisted and turned depending on which points in the course they were at. Because you had Tola injecting some bit of pace, trying to see who was in it to win it. And then you had Evans Chebet also trying to see who was in it and who really wasn't willing to go the full distance. And so it was at the 35 to 40 kilometer mark where we had the clear favorites on the men's side. Tola, surprise, surprise, was starting to fall back a little bit, and he was starting to get dropped the closer we got to the 40th kilometer mark, when Evans Chebet really put his foot down and injected some bit of pace. And so we had Evans and Abdi, a surprise contender. On the women's side, we had Hellen Obiri, Sheila, as well as Evans Chebet. Surprise, but definitely one we needed to watch for the remaining 2 kilometer sprint. And sprint wasn't going to be. And it was at the final 400 meters, where both on the men and the women's side, we saw some incredible speed. Abdi Nageeye, who has had a history in terms of not being able to finish some of the races that he's taken part in, showing incredible strength and speed. He was turning and churning, and Evans had no response. A sprint all the way to the finish. And as soon as he crossed it, you can see the incredible joy that lit up on his face, because this was his first major marathon win. And boy, was I happy, because it felt like this was just about time. And as Eliud Kipchoge says, at the apex of pain, that's where success lies. The same can be said on the women's side, because the anticipated winner, Hellen Obiri, being out-sprinted by Sheila. And you could see just how much it meant to her when she got to the finish, with incredible joy as well as tears flooding her face. And so those were our surprise winners, but deserved winners at that, because they put on an incredible show. In terms of the shoe podium, we saw the Adidas take front and center stage, especially on the men's side, with 2 out of 3 of the podium finishers having the Adios Pro 4s, as well as the winner on the women's side also adorning the latest edition of the Pro 4s that are coming on sale around January the 2nd. But it's not the shoes that carry you, it's your legs. Because I've been seeing a lot of headlines speaking about super shoes and them giving runners an unfair advantage. But at the end of the day, it's the runner that has to clock in and day out, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers to get to this point, the apex of success. So well done, Abdi. Well done, Sheila. Brilliant and amazing runs. And that's that. Keep running.